Hello. Hello. Good morning. Welcome back to Bookeemonsters. My name is PK. It is Monday, May the 25th. It is also Memorial Day here in the US, so we honor and remember. And today we are going to have an extra long session looking at the cozy mysteries published this week. We're going to look at all of them. There's about 46 or 7 or 8. So that on Friday we won't have a show, just because we have today off. Let's just look at them. Friday, it's also kind of nice to sleep in a little bit on Friday, so that was the decision there. Let's do a check-in. Lena says, good morning. Well, good morning, Lena. How you doing? She says, I am good. Just read 38 books. Holy moly. And Lena also says, I watched Star Wars yesterday, and it was really good. Oh, was that the new movie? And Elena says, I enjoyed it so much. Well, I'm glad. Cajun says, morning, everyone. Looking forward to an extra long show today. It is going to be buckle up, buckaroo, because it's going to be long. Have your caffeinated beverage of choice. Cajun says, good morning to Elena. And Cajun asks, is this week when Mary's family is visiting? I think it is. I think she early last week she was saying she was going to clean for their visit. They might have been here over or at her place over the weekend. Don't know how long that visit was going to be. But yes, you are right. Lena says good morning to Cajun. Amy says good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hope you're having a good morning. It is so far rather beautiful here. I have just walked to Keo. Gave him his little bit of food with some medication. Cajun says morning to Amy. I have my cup of coffee. It's extra large today. Usually I do my crochet one, but I needed some extra. Lena says making my cup of coffee. Oh, good. Alrighty. So these are the cozy mysteries published this week. Gird your loins, because we're not going to be rushed and we're looking at them all. My glasses are really dirty. The Body at St. Edmund's by Kate Hardy, 8th in Georgina Drake Mysteries. Georgina is photographing the restoration of St. Edmund's Church when young craftsman Liam Jacobs collapses after eating homemade banana bread. Oh, I hate that. Despite Georgina's desperate attempts at CPR, he dies at the scene. An unfortunate allergic reaction seems the obvious answer until tests reveal something far more sinister. DI Colin Bradshaw swiftly takes over the investigation, but meanwhile Georgina has uncovered a chilling historical parallel. Over 150 years ago, the church's vicar and his sister both died in mysterious circumstances, linked to rumors of an ancient treasure hidden beneath the church. 150 years ago, a couple people died, so it must be linked. With a Victorian diary revealing dark secrets, whispers of a legendary tunnel, and a podcaster stirring up local treasure hunters, Georgina must navigate past and present dangers alike. But can she unmask a killer before the church's deadly history repeats itself once more? I was almost interested until that. Somebody died here once, so it must be linked. Oh, I know, I'm being snarky. Starting early, getting it out of the way. My glasses. I gotta do something about these. Hold that thought. Have you had a good weekend so far? Mine's been good. Nice 3-day weekend. Doing a lot of crocheting on the red, white, and blue blanket. It's coming along nicely. Yeah. And then I just touched it. Alright. Well, we'll see. Pumpkin Pie Payback by Cassie Rivers, 7th in the Sunny Shore Mysteries. It's Thanksgiving in Sunny Shores. A community dinner, 48 pumpkin pies. One retired judge who won't live to see dessert. Kara Summers has catered the biggest order of her life. Every pie on every table at the town's first ever community Thanksgiving dinner at City Hall. Her boyfriend Ty is helping. Her best friend Star is home from college. Better also be helping. Her mother has texted 3 times about the timing. It should be the warmest week of her year. Then retired Judge Eleanor Vance sends Kara a cryptic text 2 days before the dinner. We need to speak. A matter of some urgency. By the time Kara returns the call, it's too late. Judge Vance signed off on every property transaction in Sunny Shores for 20 years. She had secrets, she had regrets, and she had finally decided to talk to the right people about the right things in a town that was not ready to hear them. Someone made sure she never got the chance. With state investigators circling, with Ty's accounting firm hiding something no audit can prove, and with a man Kara has spent 2 books trying to name finally close enough to touch, but the Thanksgiving dinner at Sunny Shores City Hall is about to become the last meal of a long, quiet conspiracy. And this time, Kara is going to finish what her father started. All right. Red Velvet Revenge by Kathleen Suzette. 43rd in A Freshly Baked Cozy Mysteries. Allie Blanchard is all set for Sandy Harbor's 4th of July celebration, complete with a booth full of red velvet cupcakes and a front row view of the town's spectacular fireworks show. But when a man falls down the steps of the old lighthouse in the middle of the festivities, the celebration turns deadly, and what looks like a terrible accident may not be what it seems. Determined to uncover the truth, Allie and her best friend Lucy dig around, putting themselves in the path of someone who wants the truth to stay hidden. This 4th of July, the biggest explosion might not come from the sky. Awkward phrasing, but we get it. An Impertinent Heiress by Sarah F. Knoll. First in the Isabel Hartwell Society Mysteries. Victorian, it looks like. Isabella Hartwell has crossed the Atlantic for reasons entirely unrelated to finding a titled husband. Society may assume she has come to England to buy herself a coronet, but Isabella wants something far more dangerous. She wants adventure. At Banbury Hall, a country estate filled with aristocrats, gossip, and private tensions, Isabella quickly realizes that she may have been invited for reasons other than mere hospitality. Then, after a heated quarrel, Lord Ravensmere is found dead, and Isabella finds herself at the center of suspicion. Refusing to be sent back to New York in disgrace, Isabella begins an investigation of her own. With the formidable Dowager Duchess of Pembroke at her side, she starts to uncover a web of lies, rivalries, and financial secrets that someone is willing to kill to protect. Always love those Dowager Duchess of so-and-so. End of row 1. Murder Most Charming by Jessica Berg, 3rd in the Eliza Darcy Mysteries. New Year's Eve at Pemberley is meant to be all sparkle and celebration, and Eliza Darcy has every reason to hope the coming year will bring peace at last. The ballroom gleams, the guests are in high spirits, and for one magical night the old estate hums with the promise of a peaceful future. Then Hunter Crawford arrives, charming everyone in sight and leaving Eliza with the uneasy feeling that disaster has just walked through the door. When Hunter is found murdered on the estate the following morning, that unease turns to horror. The situation becomes even more alarming when Belle Knightley, Eliza's dearest friend, is discovered hurt, confused, and unable to explain where she has been. With evidence linking Belle to the crime, suspicion rises fast and hard. Eliza has no intention of standing by while her friend is blamed for murder, and as she begins asking questions, she finds herself facing old rivalries, dangerous secrets, and a victim who left behind more enemies than admirers. But beneath Pemberley's polished surface, something far darker is stirring, and to clear Belle's name, Eliza must uncover the truth before it claims another victim. Well, where's Darcy? You can't have Elizabeth without Darcy. They're a matched pair, don't you know? Like salt and pepper. The Diva Hosts a Murderer by Krista Davis, 19th in the Domestic Diva Mysteries. With a big crowd descending on her Northern Virginia home, it's a good thing event planner Sophie Winston is an expert at entertaining. Well, it's probably her job. Whipping up patriotic pastries is as easy as pie for her, though meeting the man her widowed Aunt Mellie has just impulsively married in Las Vegas is a little bit more awkward, especially when Mellie's longtime, now heartbroken secret admirer is there too, which could lead to some fireworks. But the house party really gets explosive when Sophie's favorite tour guide falls victim to a killer, and evidence points to Sophie's own father. Will DNA really incriminate her dad? And what's the real story with her new uncle by marriage and the mysterious pal he's brought along with him? Some of the secrets Sophie's discovering are raising flags, and while the police department casts a suspicion on her father, she has to declare her independence as a detective to find the real culprit and serve justice along with her red, white, and blue cupcakes. Includes delicious recipes, fabulous decorating tips, and easy entertainment hacks. Murder at the Villa Amalfi by L.B. Hathaway, 18th in the Posey Parker Mystery Series. Amalfi Coast, Italy, spring 1926. Posey Parker, London's premier female sleuth, is abroad and moments from boarding her train home when an urgent telegram stops her in her tracks. An old friend is getting married in Italy, and Posey heads to the sun-soaked, secretive Villa Amalfi, a cliff-top paradise with a dark past and a dazzling roster of American guests. With her husband, Inspector Richard Lovelace, delayed, Posey arrives alone, though not without allies. Rufus and Dolly Cardigan, are here, as is editor Sam Stubbs and Posey's new friend, Mary Jones. But before Posey can slip into her wedding finery, disaster strikes. A guest is found murdered in the villa's tiny chapel. The villa's enigmatic drinking game owner, English spiritualist Countess Annie Dolvia, insists the villa is cursed and her next seance predicts more deaths, and Posey quickly realizes every single guest is hiding something. Why is the villa hosting weddings at all? Is their host, the charming Dr. Roberto Dorino, truly trustworthy? And what exactly is the famously persistent American journalist Beatty Brooks hunting for here? When priceless treasures vanish from the local cathedral and the villa is sealed off by police, a second murder rocks the household. Now the danger is personal and closing in fast. To survive, Posey must expose a ruthless killer before she becomes the next victim. The Chowder House Murder by Lee Hollis, first in the Down East Maine Mystery Series. Ever since Halibut Cove's popular eatery, the Chowder House, started serving matriarch Maggie Holbrook's famous clam chowder, it's been in high demand. Cooked up at the restaurant by Maggie's ambitious 19-year-old granddaughter Audrey, the dish even has a regular nightly customer, retiree Chips Hogan, until one fateful Sunday night. After serving Chips his chowder, Audrey rushes off to Maggie's hilltop home for the weekly family dinner with the rest of the Holbrooks, her three uncles, and her mom Jill. But before the meals end, Jill, a police chief, gets an alarming call. Chips has been found in the street, dead. Jill races out to investigate and is shocked to learn Chips's chowder was poisoned. When a Chowder House server recalls seeing a local diner cook, Waldo Dugan, in the alley that same evening, he becomes a suspect. And when it's uncovered that Waldo bitterly believed the Holbrooks stole the lucrative chowder recipe from the Dugans in the 1930s, he's only further implicated. Despite everything, Maggie can't believe Waldo would murder anyone. For fair-minded Maggie to keep an innocent man out of jail and ease Audrey's guilt over serving the chowder, there's no choice but to team up to crime solve. Soon grandmother and granddaughter are immersed in a stew of rivalries, long-held feuds, and looming threats, because beneath the surface, even a pretty town has its ugly side. Give me a cup of chowder. End of that rope. Katie says, I like the Domestic Diva pre-ordered. You have the Domestic Diva pre-ordered. Really like that series. Oh, nice. And I'm interested in the Lee Hollis, but the library doesn't have it up yet. Oh, I hate that when there's that far behind, and then by the time you remember to look again, it's 6 months out. Not sure about the spending that much on a series. Not sure if that I like. Yeah, I love the Haley Powell series. I try the library, but sometimes you do have to wait a very long time. I'm sure there's a way to like get on pre-list, but I don't know how to do that. Katie says, but don't care for the other one. Yeah. Murder on the Rocks by T.E. Kinsey. 13th in the Lady Hardcastle Mysteries. February 1913. Lady Hardcastle and her diminutive but brave lady's maid Flo have been invited by their friend J.B. McIntyre to spend the weekend at his recently renovated Tudor fort on a remote island off the Devonshire coast, as one does. But the holiday quickly turns sinister when first a number of valuable jewels go missing, and then a fellow guest is murdered with a most unusual weapon. Asked by JB to investigate, the stakes are raised for the sleuthing duo when a violent storm traps the group on the island and cuts them off from help. Is the murderer in their midst, with everyone claiming to have an alibi, but each also having a skeleton in their closet? Can Lady Hardcastle and Flo unravel this complex web of secrets and deception before the killer strikes again? Well, they've got a good track record. Murder Under a Pen Name by Olivia Matthews, 3rd in the Peach Coast Library Mysteries. Marvy's managing multiple projects at the library and volunteering with the Peach Coast Historical Society's annual scavenger hunt, but she still has time to help a neighbor in need. When the town's art gallery co-owner forgets his satchel at the library after his presentation, Marvy offers to return it to his office the next morning, but once she arrives, Marvy finds the co-owner murdered. Seconds later, sheriff's deputies appear and Marvy's cataloged under a cloud of suspicion. With evidence being planted against her, Marvy must prove her innocence. To do that, she'll have to find the real killer, who may be hiding under a fake name. Murder Under a Pen Name. Gotcha. Strife Over Spells by Kat McGee, 5th in the Mystic Haven Tea Shop Mysteries. Fiona Shaw traded a not-so-predictable life for enchanted textbooks, a cozy tea shop that runs on carefully brewed magic, and the weekly adventure of being the oldest witch in Professor Cordelia Blackthorn's special classes. The lessons were designed for Mystic Haven's magical late starters, the witches whose powers came in sideways, fizzled at the worst possible moments, or simply never cooperated the way the books promised. Fiona fit right in. Cordelia never made Fiona feel like a failure. She made it feel like a beginning. Then someone killed her. Found in her warm, cluttered study with traces of scorched magic still lingering like smoke from a snuffed candle, Cordelia left behind hidden research, personal secrets, and a small circle of students who all had complicated feelings about a woman who knew their struggles better than anyone. Now Fiona is struggling a murder investigation with the help of the distractingly handsome local handyman who notices things others miss, and her talking cat familiar, whose opinions about every suspect are as loud as they are unsolicited. Her quirky barista is brewing tea while seeing flavors as colors. Between comforting her fellow classmates, keeping the tea shop running, and following a trail of clues that winds through Mystic Haven's most charming corners and most guarded secrets, Fiona is learning that the hardest lessons aren't found in any textbook. And that's probably a good thing to learn. Mystic Brews and Malice by Karen McSpade. 2nd in the Magical Tea Shop Mysteries. All these magic tea shops. Midlife witch Samara Snow moves to Winter Haven, Maine, chasing a fresh start wrapped in small-town charm. In this quaint coastal town, with her magical tea shop, new friends, and a quiet life, she hopes her newly awakened magical powers won't scare anyone away, like the charming fisherman, Jack Andrews, who makes her want to risk her heart. They all kind of sound the same. Romance after 40 wasn't part of the plan, though. Neither is a first sailing date that goes awry when Jack hears a haunting song right before the sea delivers a luxury yacht and a dead man. As rumors swirl about a seafaring urban legend that lures locals to a watery grave, Samara can't ignore the eerie pull toward the islands offshore, especially when her sassy familiar Pumpkin insists the town's totally harmless folklore about a mythical creature on East Dare Island is how people end up as ghost stories. With a storm and supernatural mystery brewing, her slow burn romance with Jack growing complicated, Samara teams up with a nosy knitting circle and her talking cat to uncover the truth. Everything's in this. Together, they must untangle gossip from evidence, magic from motive, and legend from lethal truth, because someone is using a myth to cover murder, and the next name on the Ocean's list is someone Samara loves. End of that road. Cajun says, sometimes they have ones you can put a hold on before they are published, but not always. Not sure why some are and some are not. I don't know. There's a trick. There is. Cage says, no talking animals. I know. Q would be saying, pizza, donut. Why are we up so early? Dungeons and Danger. Elizabeth Penny is the author second in the Ravensea Castle series. As Halloween approaches, Ravensea Castle is bustling with excitement as Nora Asquith welcomes the fall season guests to her family's newly converted bed and breakfast. A historian studying the movements of the Vikings has traced their exploits to Ravensea. A certain Viking woman known as the Red Maiden landed here, and the historian believes she buried a treasure hoard before the castle was built. He is hopeful he can find the hoard now. Nora can't help but wonder if the enigmatic drinking game castle ghost she's always referred to as the woman in red could be this very Viking. Well, yeah. Meanwhile, a team of 4 ghost hunters is coming to stay at Ravensea for the filming of Britain's Got Ghosts. Former students of the historian, the group arrives with their own rivalries and baggage. They try to see, well, I hope they bring their own baggage. Never mind. They try to see who can make the most paranormal contacts and end up getting more than they bargained for. While the historian is murdered during a Viking festival on castle grounds and his notes go missing, Nora can't help but wonder if the treasure was why he was killed, and could it be connected to the visiting ghost hunters? Additional accidents befalling the hunters raise the stakes as Nora races to find the killer and the treasure before another death occurs. Yeah, it's been buried since Viking times, and I bet they're going to find it. My Nightmare or Yours by Diane Valere. 13th in the Madison Night Mysteries. Mid-century modern interior decorator Madison Knight's latest job should be a dream, transforming a 1950s ranch house into a retro recording studio. The catch? The client is a music producer who's both a friend of Madison's ex and the ex of one of her closest friends. Already caught in the crossfire of a messy post-divorce battle, Madison does her best to stay neutral until murder takes center stage. When pop singer Vanessa Wright, one of the producer's 2 clients, is found dead in the park outside his home, neutrality is no longer an option, and someone determined to stop her. As Madison balances swatches and soundproofing with secrets and suspects, she uncovers fractures within the singer's inner circle and resistance to Vanessa's collaboration with Madison's client. When evidence begins to point squarely at him, Madison's instincts clash with the mounting suspicion. With her police captain boyfriend convinced the producer may be guilty, Madison finds herself on the opposite side of the investigation. Being right could cost her personally. Being wrong could cost far more than a decorating job. With motives piling up faster than records in a jukebox and danger lurking behind the sleek lines of mid-century design, Madison must uncover who silenced the singer before the microphone drops on murder. A Case of Bad Blood by Mara Webb. second in the House Sitter Mysteries. Penelope Bridges has traded city life for something far more interesting, house-sitting her way around the world, one meticulously managed property at a time, courtesy of perfectly proper placements. Her latest assignment, a 12,000-acre cattle ranch in the shadow of the Tetons with horses, goats, and one highly intelligent pot-bellied pig named Truffles. Truffles has 2 goals in life: find the sunniest spot on the porch and eat everything in his path to get there. The goals of at least one new acquaintance, however, are considerably more dangerous. When the ranch owner's charming, reckless son rides out one morning and only his horse comes back, the news that follows is grim. A riding accident, they say. Thrown from his horse on a remote trail. Except Penny has noticed something that nobody else seems troubled by. The injuries don't quite match the story. Hang on a second. If I'm going to be sitting here a long time, I got to stretch out my knee. Ooh! The foreman is loyal to a fault. The niece is sharper than she lets on. The neighboring rancher has grievances that go back further than anyone will admit. And Truffles, entirely unbothered, has found his sunny spot and isn't moving for anyone. At least he doesn't talk. Penny has a color-coded spreadsheet, a very organized mind, and a nagging suspicion that the killer is sitting at the dinner table with her. Good thing she brought extra highlighters. Yeah. Although that is a very clever premise to be able to move from place to place. I admire that. The Black Cat Detectives by Kit Gray. Precocious kittens Bippity, Boppity, and Boop are exceedingly loyal to their human, the 28-year-old up-and-coming magician Mila. She saved them once from starving to death in a dingy Corvin's Crossing alleyway and has been nothing but loving ever since, even though her own life is in shambles. So when Mila's sketchy boyfriend and business manager turns up dead at the end of her big magic show, she's the prime suspect. With evidence mounting, there's nothing stopping the sheriff from hauling away Mila to the human pound, unless the kittens can solve the crime and clear her name. The kittens will have to use their dubious control over the laws of physics and every whisker of know-how they've got to catch the real killer, if they want to save their happy home with Mila. This is one meowstery more tangled than any ball of yarn they've encountered yet. Yeah. Okay, it makes you want to have a magical tea shop. Just saying. End of that row. Murder Most Delicious. Danielle Postel-Vinay is the author. Starting over in Paris was supposed to be the opportunity of a lifetime for American sommelier Olivia Beach until her dream job ends in murder. Once a rising star in the wine world, Olivia was one of the handful of women in the world to hold the distinction of being a master sommelier before COVID stole her sense of taste and her career. Oh, that sucks. Adrift and depressed, she gets a second chance when beloved celebrity chef Jacques de Bizet invites her to Paris for a job interview, but as the interview begins, he collapses, poisoned, making Olivia the prime suspect. She's just having not great luck. Olivia is in trouble, but she has an advantage. Her extraordinary nose is still sharp enough to detect the subtlest of scents, including the poison that killed Jacques. Olivia knows she's innocent, but how can she prove it? Enter the Paris Neighborhood Watch, an eccentric circle of locals determined to protect their quarter. At the helm is the mysterious Augusta Dupin, a brilliant but agoraphobic detective, aided by her intuitive British short-hair cat, Chateaubriand. Olivia and Augusta join forces with a group of neighborhood amateur sleuths, a patissier, a cafe owner, a part-time librarian, a florist, and a kind-hearted cop who may be falling for Olivia to solve the crime, a search that helps them find not only the killer but fresh purpose in their lives. That was Murder Most Delicious. This one is Murder on North Star Summit, second in the Mistwood Mysteries by Tina Van Hoven. Olivia March hoped for a productive business retreat. Instead, she finds herself trapped in a snow-covered lodge with a dead woman, a restless ghost, and a 70-year-old secret someone is willing to kill to protect. When local historian Cassie Greer is found dead, the sheriff's department quickly leans toward a tragic accident. Olivia knows better. Cassie had been digging into the dark history of North Star Summit before she died, uncovering clues tied to forged land deeds, vanished records, and a buried scandal that could shake Mistwood to its core. Then there's Anton Volkov, the arrogant ghost of a 1930s ski champion who has absolutely no intention of staying quietly dead. All right. Invitation to Murder by Carol Floriani. After inheriting her mother's printing and party planning business, Lacey Langdon moves back to her sleepy hometown of Willow Bluffs, perched on New Jersey's Palisades. When her great-aunt Tessa Langdon Vander Horn, a well-known and beloved soap opera star, sells her 19th century estate and donates 10 acres to the development of a community park, Lacey's new venture is put at the helm of the opening ceremony. But the festivities quickly come to an end when the body of town councilman Glenn Hartman is found on the bank of the Hudson River. Partnering with her former classmate, lawyer Derek Conover, they dig deep into the case to find out who is behind the murder. Suspicions abound, but Lacey and Derek hit a snag when one of their prime suspects drops dead at Lacey's next event. With a second body added to the count, tensions rise in Willow Bluffs. Caught in the crossfire when remnants of a family tragedy resurface, Lacey and Derek must act swiftly before another body drops dead. Lone Wolf by A. Albright, 9th in the Museum of Magical Artifacts. Just as Fee is about to leave for a work trip, one of her pack members is found dead. Although the death seems like an unfortunate accident, Annie and the gang are unconvinced. The dead werewolf had a mysterious inheritance to give to Fee, and part of that inheritance has vanished. When Fee eventually leaves for Texas, she promises to stay in touch, but when her calls stop coming, her friends begin to worry. The gang follow Fee to Lone Wolf Ranch, where they encounter some very unusual obstacles. With the help of their familiars, they battle on, but can they find Fee before it's too late? Because if not, the fate of the museum and the entire world is at risk, and things may never be the same again. What is she holding? No. It's a cup with a critter. Thought it was a puppet. Well, that's weird. Creepy. End of that row. Moving right along. Amy says, Invitation to Murder sounds good. Yeah. Katie says it does. And the cover looks good, too. Murder in the Luberon by Susan Kiernan Lewis, 28th in the Maggie Newberry Mystery Series. When a famous truffle hunter, ooh, we got truffles again, is found dead in the deep woods of the Luberon, Maggie Newberry is drawn to find out why and is quickly sucked into a hidden world as tangled and twisted as the ancient oak roots beneath her feet. Driving herself to dig deeper for answers, Maggie soon discovers a hidden world of greed, sabotage, and centuries-old rivalries in the lucrative and secretive truffle trade. The situation quickly comes to a deadly climax as Maggie, an American expat who has never quite fit in even after 25 years living in France, strives to do the right thing while trying to manage a crisis in her marriage, which prompts her husband Laurent to walk away. Whether you're curled up on a couch, that's Burbage. Never mind. Springtime Shadows by Sharon Michaels, 5th in the Hawthorne Corner Cozy Mysteries. Set in the elegant Victorian Evermore house in the charming small town of Hawthorne Corner, the story follows Gideon Harlow, a history professor and Airbnb owner whose quiet life is upended when unexpected relatives arrive claiming not only the estate, but a deeper connection to the town's past. As present-day tensions mount, clues from the 1920s surface, revealing a long-buried mystery tied to the Evermore legacy. With the help of Lila Evermore, the resident ghost, and Callie, a curious Maine Coon cat with a talent for uncovering secrets, Gideon must piece together the truth before history repeats itself and the Evermore inheritance is lost forever. Alchemy and Allegories by Diana Zarissa. Oh, she's starting a new series. First in the Agnes Hale Book Club Cozies. This is at least her third, might be more. Meet Agnes Hale, a retired librarian, a reluctant sleuth, and a witch trying very hard not to use magic. All I wanted was a better book club, not for someone to wind up dead, as one does. I moved to Graymore Glen for a quieter life, somewhere far from Salem and its complications. With my cat Rover at my side, I was hoping for peace, a good library, and a fresh start. That's what we all want. Starting a new book club seemed like the perfect way to settle in. Then the woman running the rival club was found dead in the library parking lot. Unfortunately, I was the one who found her. Now I'm at the center of a murder investigation in a town where the victim had a remarkable talent for making enemies. The more I learn about Patricia Farmer, the harder it is to find anyone who didn't have a reason to dislike her. I'm not supposed to use magic. The council made that very clear. But I'm also not the sort of person who can ignore a problem like this, which means Rover and I are going to start asking questions. But I mean, seriously, you don't move into a new town and then say, I'm going to have a bigger, better book club than what you already have going. Nor do you take over the one that's already there. You blend in. Murder on the Cornish Train by J.M. Hall. First in the Cornish Murder Mystery Series. One missing passenger, one dead body. Is it murder on the Cornish train? I'm having flashback to Advent calendar. It is a dark and stormy night when Jeff boards the Cornish sleeper train at Paddington Station. As they make their way down the dark British coast, waves crash over the carriages and the wheels rattle in the gale. Arriving in Cornwall the next morning, Jeff discovers one passenger has vanished into thin air. Well, you didn't discover it because he wasn't there. The next day, another is found dead in a windswept beach. Jeff can't accept these are coincidences. Could he hold the clue to catch the killer who boarded the Cornish train? And that's all they say. It says fans of Janice Hallett, Murder on the Orient Express, and Tom Hindle will be hooked from the very first page. How many pages are there? Whoa, look at all that blurbage. Yeah, got a lot of support from names. It's not out yet, so there isn't a sample. But yes, I'm having PTSD from the Advent calendar. Amy says, yes, it did look like a puppet. Good, I wasn't alone. And that cat looks so cute, yes. Oh, the Cornish Train book sounds like Orient Express. It does. Cage says, oh, I was thinking Cornish Train sounded interesting, and then you said Advent calendar. I'm sorry. I thought, oh, it does sound good, though. Give it a shot, you know. It has to be better. It has to be better. Speaking of which, we should probably start looking for another one. I don't know if we could. I don't know if there are. That was the end of that row. Bad Moon by T.E. Harkins. Fifth in the Raven's Wing Irish Murder Mysteries. Did we have another one by T.E. Harkins, or was that just initial similars? A full moon, a film crew, and a killer hiding in plain sight. When American journalist Savannah Jeffers arrives at a lavish Irish estate in Clonfrey, she's expecting a harmless assignment, write a puff piece on the set of a teen werewolf film. Instead, she's greeted by a lead actress who wants her gone, a director who wants a glowing report, facts optional, and a Scandinavian heartthrob who may or may not be considering legal action after a brief misunderstanding. In short, she's off to a rocky start. But behind the scenes, this is behind the scenes, the crew has bigger problems than bad reviews and bruised ego. One of the cast members has been receiving increasingly unsettling threats, and only Savannah seems to take them seriously. Then a body turns up in the woods. Cause of death? Werewolf attack. Apparently. Stuck in a 16th century manor house full of suspects, simmering grudges, and too many secrets to count, Savannah will have to separate fact from fiction before the murderer decides to write their own killer sequel. I mean, that's a nice cover, but they're dealing with werewolf stuff. I mean, obviously it's not real werewolves, but I like that cover. Oh dear. The Fluffed and Folded Phantom. Now that is scary. By R.A. Muth. Laundry being scary. 5th in the Haunted Housekeeping series. Ew, housekeeping. Hazel and I have finally escaped the housekeeping business. We've put aside our toilet brushes for a new gig. The Salty Sirens, 2 best friends who cleanse homes of negative energy. No rubber gloves required. Life is good. I'm engaged to my hunky Irishman, Rune, and we finally moved in together. What could go wrong? That's what I thought until a moving truck pulled up across the street and men started carrying my mother's belongings into the house directly across from mine. But Mom didn't just buy a house. She also bought the town laundromat, which she's convinced is haunted. When the laundromat's most difficult customer turns up dead in a commercial dryer, folded like a fitted sheet, yuck, Mom's new business becomes a crime scene. And thanks to a very public argument with the victim, guess who's the prime suspect? That's right, me. As if solving a murder wasn't enough, Mom's new hairdresser friend gives me the creeps, Hazel's boyfriend is acting strangely secretive, and Rune's sweet whisperers have turned to mewlings, the feline kind. What? Can I clear my name, save my mother's business, and figure out why my fiancé is coughing up hairballs before it's too late? Make it stop. Oh! Says page not found. Yep, it's gone. It's gone. On to the next one. Amy says, yes, laundry can definitely be scary. Yes. I usually do laundry on Sunday, and I didn't do it yesterday, so I have to do the laundry today. Nah. Security to Die For by Tessa Ora, 10th in the Maggie Wright Cozy Mystery Series. When a Guardian Watch technician is found dead inside a fully monitored smart home with the system insisting nobody entered, private investigator Maggie Wright and her partner Harper Rhodes know something is very wrong. The suspects are plenty. Harold Rudd was humiliated by a complaint filed behind his back. Ray Colton is a privacy activist with a confrontational streak. Derek Wynn has been running a secret surveillance operation nobody was supposed to find. And Carly Ivers built the system's most dangerous capabilities herself. But the killer isn't hiding from the cameras, they're controlling them. In a town where everyone is now watching everyone else, Maggie makes one very public mistake. With her reputation on the line, a killer who stays one step ahead, she has to find the truth before Ashford Crossing stops trusting the one person trying to protect it. You know, that's one of the more contemporary kind of concepts in a cozy we've had in a long time. End of that row. Next up. Oh, one of my favorite series. Yes, I have this book. Physical copy came out early. I love this series. A Gentleman of Modest Ambitions by Grace Burrows, 12th in the Lord Julian Mystery Series. Speaking of this, Cajun and I had a little chat, and I remembered that June is Midsummer Hiss Mist, which is, about a week away. So, Lord Julian Caldecott is battling a severe case of winter doldrums as well as a serious bout of pre-wedding jitters. He longs to invite his intended Miss Hyperia West to Caldecott Hall, but she seems to be having a fine time shopping for her trousseau in London. Julian's growing pile of miseries is only increased when a neighbor, Sir Clive Arbuthnot, reports that his titled cousin has gone missing. In fact, he said, I've misplaced him. Sir Clive entreats Julian to find the errant Earl before creditors, importuning relations, and disgruntled tenants descend on Sir Clive, who was merely hosting his cousin for a visit when the disappearance occurred. Julian longs to hibernate at the Hall, but the missing peer might well be the victim of foul play, and Julian's mother holds Sir Clive in particular esteem. Julian must face lies, scandals, maternal disapproval, his own worst fears, and deadly peril if he's not to leave Hyperia waiting in vain at the altar. Start at the beginning. Very good series. And it says, see you Wednesday. Have a good day, everyone. Well, you too. Thank you for being here, honey. Cajun says bye to Elena. Elena says, and remember, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Indeed. Om nom nom. And Amy says, bye, Elena. Doesn't Play Well with Others by Carolyn L. Dean. 5th in the Troublemaker Club. $20, a room full of board games, one dream vacation to Hawaii up for grabs. What could go wrong? In Hazenville, apparently, everything. When the annual animal shelter fundraiser turns deadly, the local police are ready to call it a crime of passion and move on. But Jessica Winters and the Troublemaker Club know better. Someone at the game table wasn't there for the fun of the prizes. They came with a game plan, and they played every move in advance. Now the club has to shuffle through more suspects than a clue board, outmaneuver a killer who's still unknown, and prove that in Hazenville, the most dangerous games aren't played on a board. Mystery, friendship, laugh-out-loud moments, higher stakes than a Hawaii jackpot. Welcome back to Hazenville, where somebody definitely didn't play well with others. I don't know why, but I do like this cover too. If she didn't have those sunglasses on halfway. The Fatal Farandole by Anna T. Drew. 9th in the Julie Cavallo Mysteries. A beloved provincial festival, a murderous conspiracy, a bullfighter who knows too much. As they do. When 2 local chefs are killed within a week, shockwaves ripple through the region's tight-knit culinary world. Suspicion lands squarely on baker Julie Cavallo. As whispers turn to accusations, her eccentric family closes ranks and her loyal friends rally to her side. But Julie's running out of time. Her pastry shop is at risk. Her love life is unraveling. The gendarmes are tracking her every move. Julie can't afford to wait for the official investigation to uncover the truth. Her instincts go into overdrive. Dots connect. Patterns appear. Can Julie make it through this case when asking the right questions has already gotten others killed? That is a whole lot of words to say nothing. It also occurred to me that this is another one set in France, and they set them in England, they set them in France, they don't set them in Germany. They'd set them in Italy. The Curtain Falls by Diane Harmon, 3rd in the Nora Blackwell Cozy Mysteries. When vintage dealer Nora Blackwell receives a call from a precise, recently retired textile conservator, she expects an interesting acquisition. What she finds, hidden in the lining of an extraordinary 1920s beaded coat, is something far more consequential. A fragment of musical manuscript, signed with 2 initials and a single sentence in French. I'm not going to say that. What I have composed will not die with me, is the translation. The manuscript belongs to Elise Levin, a French composer who vanished in occupied Paris in 1943, whose music was believed entirely lost. The coat belongs to Irish Calloway, 101 years old, living in a Northampton memory care facility, and the only person alive who knew Levin personally. Following the thread from Millbrook to Northampton to the archives of Lyon to the streets of Paris, Nora and her Labrador Retriever Gatsby leading the way, her journalist partner Marcus at her side, and a chain of remarkable women guiding her toward the truth, gradually assembles the full picture. She is able to complete the 7-song cycle hidden across a coat, a manuscript, and decades of faithful keeping, and a composer whose disappearance was not what history assumed. End of that row. This is the last one. Whew. I think we had 48 of them. 47. One of them disappeared. Murder in Madrid by Arthur Pierce, 5th in the Hazel Chase Mysteries. She came to Madrid with a target, a grudge, and a plan. 2 of those survived the first night. Friedrich Kaltmann has been at the end of every thread Hazel Chase has pulled since Paris. Retired CEO, gated villa, private security, the kind of man who doesn't take meetings with bakers from California, but he never misses a Real Madrid match. So Hazel buys a VIP ticket, a green dress, and sits next to him at the Barnabeu. I'm totally slaughtering that. He talks. He actually talks. Then he dies mid-cocktail and blames her on his way out. Now there's a poisoned drink, a bombshell newspaper article, and a killer somewhere in the VIP lounge. Hazel has multiple suspects, no proof, and an old friend from home who picked a spectacular week to turn up in Spain. She should really stop going to nice places. Well, you should really stop coming across dead people. Amy says, oh, that is interesting. Cajun. And Amy says, have a good day as well. Did I miss? What did I miss? Up here, Amy says, yes, the sunglasses seem... Oh, I'm sorry. Seem odd with the outfit. And Cajun says, some of the travel series go to Germany, but not sure about the series set there entirely. Cajun says, well, that went fast. Everyone has a good day. Cajun says, oh, that is interesting. There we go, and have a good day as well. Alrighty. 3 more to go. Ghosts and Grimoires by Carmen Radke, 6th in the Willowmere Mysteries. Bex Merriweather is bored. Endless rain, her coven unavailable, and no new spells to master, this midlife witch has never experienced such a dull stretch in Willowmere. Until she receives a letter her late aunt left for her. The mission? Bex and her familiar cat Cosmo Merlin de Beaufort must leave their peaceful home to acquire a disguised grimoire at an auction. It's up to Bex and Cosmo to divine what they're supposed to bid for. Their task gets even harder when a cloaking spell hides the grimoire from them. I think that's a them. And then a burglar strikes. Unexpected help comes in the form of a pet whispering ghost. Flapper Adriana Darling is also on a mission to find a necklace linked to her death and her afterlife. Together, the witch, her cat, and the ghost conjure up a plan to solve the case. The Diarist of Diabolical by Jeannie Wickerly. Zilla Chaplin works in permits at the Ministry of Witches. Her life ought to involve paperwork, awkward applicants, and the occasional dispute over broomstick regulations. It should not involve murdered children, hidden archives, ancient effigy stones, or conspiracy buried beneath the decades of official records. When an overlooked thread leads Zilla towards a forgotten case connected to Tumbletown's burial place, she uncovers evidence that refuses to stay in the past. Children vanished. Records were altered. Names were carried through the system when they should never have been there at all. The deeper she digs, the darker the truth becomes. With Blue at her side, Wizard Dodo grumbling from the sidelines, and dangerous questions drawing unwanted attention, Zilla finds herself facing corruption that reaches into the heart of the ministry itself. Because while the ministry has been keeping records, others have been keeping secrets. Some artifacts do more than preserve history. Some steal it, and somewhere in the shadows, ancient watchers are waiting for balance to be restored. I thought there were more. I told an untruth. There's actually 9 more after this. We have 10 more to look at. Whew. Return to Paris by Andrea Hicks, 16th in the Camille Devine Murder Mysteries. Paris, 1926. A glittering exhibition, a suspicious death, a secret someone will kill to protect. When Camille and Richard travel to Paris at Lucien's invitation, the season promises art, elegance, and society intrigue. Instead, a young restorer is found dead in his left bank studio. His last client was Camille's mother. Whispers ripple through aristocratic circles. Questions surface about paintings long believed lost. And when Elsie finds a hidden ecclesiastical key, Camille, Richard, and the ever-perceptive Elsie realize the truth may be far more dangerous than scandal. Lucienne has never feared gossip. She is a princess, and Paris knows it. But this time, reputation is not the only thing at risk. With suspicion tightening and loyalties tested, Camille must stand beside her mother as past and present collide in the glittering heart of the city, because in 1926 Paris, power wears an artist's smock, and it does not surrender easily. End of that road. We're getting to the home stretch. Kaden says, yay, more. I told you there's a lot. There's a lot. The Ghost and Family Secrets. What is this? 38th in the Haunting Danielle by Bobby Holmes, Anna J. McIntyre, and there's an introduction. Hiring a new housekeeper for a notorious haunted house can come with unexpected challenges, especially when family secrets are at risk. But it's not just the Marlowe family secrets the mediums of Beach Drive need to be worried about. It seems everyone has a family secret, as Danielle and her friends are about to discover. Short and sweet. We like that. Gone with the Woodwinds by Jennifer Lamont Leo. 4th in the Music Shop Mysteries. January 1921 brings two arrivals to Timber Coulee, Idaho, the Idaho All-State Music Competition, and a killer. Amanda Parrish, proprietress of Mountain Melodies Music Shop and newly engaged to Sheriff James Holcomb, has pulled off a small coup for the local planning committee, convincing her old conservatory friend to come up from the University of Idaho to judge the Woodwinds competition. Gerald arrives on the train, charming, warm, and unchanged after 20 years. He is dead before the week is out. Train? I don't think so. Suspicion settles immediately on Amanda's co-manager, Callan McTavish, a Scottish World War I veteran whose midnight walks and troubled silences make him an easy target. Amanda knows better. The clock is ticking on finding the real killer before they vanish forever. Or strike again. I'm sorry, 1921. Train. Makes sense. Between managing the competition, fending off the pointed observations of her future mother-in-law, a woman for whom the phrase glacially polite seems to have been coined, and coaxing testimony from the town's reclusive Norwegian hermit, Amanda must untangle a legal dispute that stretches back years and make sense of obscure clues before the killer disappears into the winter dark. I think my brain is starting to go obbity from all of these. It's too much at once. Chicory and Charms by Jen Pitts, 4th in the Witches of the French Quarter Mysteries. Althea Fontenot is finally settling into life as a witch until her daughter Olivia arrives in New Orleans, furious that her magical heritage was kept from her. Determined to embrace her newfound abilities, Olivia casts her first charm, only for it to be tied to a shocking crime. Now another Fontenot witch is accused of murder, and Althea must uncover the truth before it's too late. Meanwhile, magical artifacts are vanishing from covens across the city, stirring unrest among the witches. As suspicions rise and her own coven questions her every move, especially her growing connection with Atlas, a vampire, Althea must unravel a tangle of secrets before another mystery turns deadly. The Bubbly Betrayal, 9th in the Mermaid Bay Wine Mysteries. She's cranking these out, isn't she? Lynn Joseph is the author. After solving a century-old wine mystery, Noelle Knight expected life to return to normal in Mermaid Bay, whatever that is. She's back to running her thriving wine shop with her best friend, Shanice, hosting her weekly Wine Down Wednesdays, enjoying pastries from the Buttercream Cafe, and kayaking with her boyfriend, Finn, and their black cat, Cabby, short for Cabernet. Then an invitation arrives from the tiny French village of Hautevillers. Come investigate a champagne harvest gone wrong. France sounds like the perfect vacation. Croissant, cold bubbly, a little adventure. And best of all, Finn can come too. So can Cabby. The cat is non-negotiable. Seriously. But when Noelle arrives, she finds more than sparkling wine and scenic charm. A prominent figure connected to the historic Domaine Perron Abbey has turned up dead. Suspicion is flying in every direction, and the local gendarmerie seems far too willing to let an outsider take the lead and the blame. Noelle soon discovers that small towns are the same everywhere, charming on the surface, complicated underneath. Her father did say, "Follow the wine." He probably didn't mean it that way, though. End of that row. We're getting there. The music shop is something new. Yeah, I mean, you get all these tea shops, coffee shops, theaters. Charred by J.P. Gottlieb, third in the Whipped and Sipped Cozy Mystery Series. At the Whipped and Sipped Cafe, Aline Barron knows how to handle a kitchen fire, but this blaze may burn far beyond her control. When a suspicious fire draws Aline, her loyal friend Casey, and Casey's boyfriend Coffee to a charred property in search of salvaged wood, they expect nothing more than a little trespassing and a lot of soot. Instead, whispers of arson swirl through their tight-knit community, and before long a body turns up amid the ashes. Coffee fears the police will come knocking. Casey fears someone saw them, and Aline is caught in the middle, torn between protecting the people she loves and telling the truth to her partner, homicide detective Frank Shaw, because in this town, secrets don't stay buried, they smolder. As suspicion spreads and tensions rise, Aline must sift through half-truths, family loyalties, and long-simmering grudges to uncover what really happened the night of the fire. With her cafe bustling, her children and father offering heartfelt, if sometimes chaotic support, and a community on edge, she'll need every ounce of patience, every recipe in her arsenal to keep things from going up in flames. Beep. Homicide on the Range by Rosalie Spielman, sixth in the Hometown Mysteries. U.S. Army retiree Tessa Teslo is ready for a much-needed and romantic getaway with her boyfriend, Nick, to volunteer on a dude ranch for recovering combat veterans in Montana. Oh dear, Montana. What she gets instead is a whole crew from her little town of New Oslo, Idaho, tagging along. Her BFF Freddie, a.k.a. Deputy Fredrickson, her Aunt Edna, and the Prune sisters are happy for a little vacation as well, but little do they realize it's not going to be the rustic, idyllic visit to the range they think it will be. The other volunteers at the ranch are a variety of characters, from a jealous wife to a multi-limb amputee to a blast from Tessa's past and a combative and unpleasant ranch cook. When the cook ends up dead along with sides of beef in the walk-in freezer, Tessa realizes that one of them is also a murderer. With Freddie stranded in town, Tessa teams up with the New Osloans, the only ones she can be sure didn't commit the crime, to take a closer look at the other volunteers. They soon learn that each and every cowboy wannabe knew the cook far more than just her buttery cooking, and each of them had a motive to want her dead. I was thinking it was a guy. To make matters much worse, not one but two wildfires are closing in on the ranch and cutting them off from the outside. Well, that's different. Not unusual in Montana. What results is a locked room style mystery where the crew from New Oslo are unsure which will prove more dangerous, a murderer or the wildfires. You know, it's not the usual snowstorm. Cajun says, Whipped and Slip sounds like it could be one of Tiffany's romance series. Indeed. In fact, we have one coming up that's going to be, they're now doing both, they're doing mystery romances now. You know, like romantasy, only it's, I don't know what the word would be, but it's coming up. The Body in the Kitchen Garden by Paula Sutton, second in the Hill House Vintage Murder Mysteries. Pudding Corner is abuzz. The enigmatic drinking game. Lord Hugh Darlington has returned to his crumbling ancestral home after years away. With his fiancée, he plans to revive the Grand Darlington Hall, and who better to help than antique hunting Daphne Brewster? Daphne is enchanted by this estate's stained glass windows, regal turrets, and sprawling kitchen garden. But amidst the overgrown greenery, she stumbles upon something far less picturesque, a body. A body that no one can identify. As the shocking murder rocks the village, Daphne dusts off her sleuthing skills despite the local PC's warnings to stay out of trouble. When Lord Darlington is attacked and a string of burglaries shakes Pudding Corner, it's clear that no one is safe. With secrets buried deep and loyalties more tangled than ivy, Daphne must unearth the truth before the killer strikes again. Was it this one? It Happened One Murder. Yeah, I think so. Yep, this is the one. The mash of romance and murder. Murder has a way of bringing people together. Harriet Baker thought that when she left Logan Island, she was leaving for good, but after getting fired from her dream magazine job, she finds herself stuck back in the sleepy New Jersey beach town living with her eccentric mother and desperate to escape. And her ticket out might be murder? When Harriet's extravagant birthday party ends with a dead body, all fingers point to Sarah Albright, the troublesome sister of none other than Nick, Harriet's short-lived fling from years ago that she's been eager to forget. And the feeling is entirely mutual. But murder makes for a good story, and when Harriet is told that she can get her old job back if she writes an article uncovering what really happened the night of her party, she readily agrees. To write her piece, Harriet will need Nick's full cooperation, and if Nick wants to clear his sister's name, he'll need Harriet's investigative skills. But working together, that's less than ideal. As the two team up to find the real killer, they'll discover the dark underbelly of their seemingly perfect hometown, uncover long-buried secrets, and maybe, just maybe, realize that they might work well together after all. End of that row. Last one! Whew, this took us over an hour. And I talk fast. Coastal Views to Die For by Sam Lumley, second in the Oliver Pop's Travel Guides to Murder. Though sparks flew between travel writer Oliver Pop and extroverted photographer Ricky Warner on their last assignment together, when they're teamed up again for a road trip, they agree to keep things low-key. But that's just a little at odds with Oliver's new assignment, finding romance on the Oregon coast. The destination is a picturesque inn overlooking the Pacific. With the crashing waves below, it seems like an ideal spot for dramatic love connections. Curiously, the other guests are innkeeper Mary Alice's large extended family, headed by a fabulously wealthy aunt with various children, in-laws, husbands, and wives, all vying to stay in her good graces and her will. Then, on the first night, settling into their room, Oliver and Ricky make an unsettling discovery: a dead man in their hot tub. One of Mary Alice's tragically unlucky relatives, who, from the looks of it, dropped in from the balcony above. The sheriff concludes it was an accident. Considering the circumstances of this odd family reunion, Oliver and Ricky have doubts. When another body turns up, the vibes on what was supposed to be a relaxing getaway take an absolutely sinister turn. As family secrets, old grudges, and greedy motives come to light, Oliver's sleuthing side is coming out. Who's the new heir in line to die? As the suspects pile up, Oliver is certain of only one thing. It's no mystery that murder is bringing him and Ricky closer together. That is it! We made it! So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 44, 45? 45 books. Just this week. We are truly blessed if you are enjoying a lot of magical tea shops and truffles. Katie says, It Happened One Murder sounds sort of interesting, but on the romance being a major plot doesn't inspire confidence. Yeah. Well, there's only so much romantasy you can read. Now they're moving into our territory. Katie says, Woo! Amy, have a wonderful day, everyone. Indeed. Enjoy if you have the day off, hope you are enjoying it. I will be, for the most part. I'm going to go have some breakfast. And take a nap. Do laundry. Crochet. Stuff like that. I don't know who's doing sprints tonight, either Stormy or Sarah. Our next sprints are tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday, we'll look at the crime fiction and thrillers. I promise there's only like 8 of them. It's going to go fast. Since we looked at all the cozies today, we won't have a morning show on Friday. Keisha says Stormy, I think. Awesome. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you, guys. Go forth. Read. As the banner says here, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Om, lom, lom. Have a good day and God bless.